Hello, everyone. Welcome to Small Biz Tips. Guys, I am so pumped up. I got this amazing woman here today. She's going to kill it, y'all. I met her in a mastermind. She's amazing and she know her stuff. So get ready to learn, especially if you're creative. Woo, this is going to be huge. Shannon, what's going on?
Everything's going on. Everything's going great. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you. Thank you so much for the
Absolutely.
opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for jumping on. I know you're super busy, but I had to bring you into my community and I want you to start sharing a little bit more about you, what you do. But before we go there, who is Shannon?
Who is Shannon? That's a wonderful question. Shannon is an innate creative, as we all are, just
Mm,
by nature, creative and a creator, like just like every other individual on this planet. Just unlocking that for everyone else that I come into contact with is my goal. So
nice.
I help people unlock their creativity and turn that passion into a profit so that they
Mm,
can essentially exit their 9 to 5s or make a lifestyle out of what it is that they really truly want to create and connect with their communities.
wow, you said something here. Turn their passion into profit. So
Absolutely.
you apparently did that. How did you get started into this space?
Getting started, this goes way, way back to
Take us
elementary
back.
school, middle school, high school.
Mm-hmm.
I was always a creative, and my dad always
Mm-hmm.
encouraged us to have ways of earning money. So, the way I
Mm,
got started was my dad had a rule, and he gave us just enough money for hot lunch. It was a check for
huh?
$6.35 for the week for lunch. So if you
Okay.
wanted to be cool in middle school and you wanted to eat the pizza or the soda or anything else, you
Huh?
couldn't get by with the hot lunch money. So you had to create your own income. So I would,
Ah,
yeah, I would
I
sell
like that.
candy. Yeah, essentially that is the principle that I took with me from that moment forward in life. So I would
Mm-hmm.
sell candy, I would make t-shirts, I would like create apparel for people. Like I would literally paint clothing and
Wow.
cut and sew things. I never took a sewing class, but I would cut and sew things and create for people.
That's
And once I
amazing.
realized that that was a way to generate money, it didn't become a
Mhm.
question of whether I should do that. It's, how much could I, get away with doing that while still being in
Mm.
school, right?
So wait. I wanna go a little bit deeper, right? You said your dad gave you just enough, and then what would he say when he do that? He said, "Okay, here is 10 bucks. You gotta figure out how to get the rest of the money that you need to get whatever you want."
Right. It was exactly $6.35. And if I wanted anything, and it was a check too.
Mhm.
So he sent us to school with a check. And I wrote the check out because back in the day, I used to learn how to write all the checks and I would have to do the signature. So imagine me in middle school writing
Yeah.
my own checks, writing my daddy's signature and showing up to school with a $6.35 check. And basically they could apply that to my balance and then I could buy like things that I wanted, or that was just enough to get
Wow.
hot lunch for the entire week. So in that case, if I wanted to be cool, if I wanted to have things, I had to earn
Yeah.
that opportunity to have those additional things. So it was a great lesson in life, and I carry that to this day.
That's amazing. I wish more parents would do that, right? Because if they
Absolutely.
do that to their kids, like you don't, like kids would learn how to become more independent and self-sufficient at a younger age.
Right.
So that's amazing. Now I want to go a little bit further of you went through that process, you start thinking like an entrepreneur. When did you actually start your business? Right out of high school? Like what happened?
It officially began. I'll give you the official and the unofficial. Unofficial is when I was in
Uh-huh.
high school, I was making things on eBay. So I was selling
Mm,
custom painted and custom made jersey dresses and jeans, and all this stuff was hand painted and handmade.
wow.
Then, and I was sending it to places like Japan, Germany. This was circa 2001. If anybody wants to date me right now, like that's how old I
No
am.
worries, no worries. I was in high school around that time. I
There
was
you
actually
go.
middle school. No worries.
So I started an e-commerce business in high school, and I don't. This is the first time I've
Wow.
actually said that out loud. And I was sending things internationally, and
Mhm.
that was the start of things. I got into a fashion design program, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. But I
Mm,
realized quickly that program wasn't what was going to carry my talent. So I got
mm,
involved in the more technical side of the program, which is textiles and product development. Um, ended up getting recruited by the engineering school to do high performance
Wow.
materials and that sort of thing. And then I just started merging fashion with form and function and engineering. And it just took my mind to places where, I could actually create anything that was on my mind. Now, rewind back to how I know how to do
Yeah.
any of this is learning Photoshop when I was in high school. So when I was a 10th grader, I learned Photoshop.
Oh, in
And I
school
was,
or at
yeah,
home?
well, I learned it from help files at school. So nobody taught me
Okay.
Photoshop, but we had access to it. So I would go to the help files and anything I was like, I want to cut out a picture. So I would look out cut. And I was like, okay, this is how you cut out a photo. These are tools you can use. So I
Wow.
literally taught because there was no YouTube back then, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
help
yeah. You had to
files was
make
my
figure
YouTube
it out.
university. and
That's
um
awesome.
and the Photoshop is what allowed me to bring anything that was in my mind to fruition digitally, right?
Mhm.
So once I had that concept and that construct of making or designing anything, the
Mm.
options were endless, whether it was a science fair project, engineering presentation,
Mm.
fashion presentation. I even did 3D design just because I knew Photoshop. Right. So I did some
No.
3D scanning, 3D models, like all of this stuff, just because I had experience with that interface as a child.
Wow. You were so early in that stage that now people are trying to figure it out, but you knew this back like 15, 20 years ago. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And it's been beneficial ever since.
Wow. So now let's go further, right? Now you were able to work in corporate engineering background and then running your side business, and now you have an academy.
Right.
Tell us
Okay,
about,
can I tell you a secret?
yeah,
I
yes, yes.
don't know how much
No
longer
one
it's
else
gonna
will
stay a
know.
secret. I
No
have
one else will
never
know.
I've never had a full-time job. I've never had a job or like a salary type of position.
Huh,
Yeah,
that's
it's kind of hard
that's
to say that.
awesome.
Yeah, I've
Why
well,
not?
here's the thing. I've been a student for a long time. Don't get me wrong. I have my
Yeah.
PhD. It should have Shannon Wooden PhD on there. I have my PhD in industrial engineering. I should really take credit for that more than I do. But
Mm-hmm.
so I was a student for a very long time, and what I did was I always worked either part time or I did, and I was always doing my business and usually spending more of my business than it was making. But I didn't realize I was just honing my craft. Every time I
Yeah.
got money, I would pour it into what it was that I really wanted to create and do. So it was not a waste of money to me. I didn't waste it on cars or furniture or anything. I
Nah.
literally spent my money on my craft. So when it came time, I graduated with my PhD. I
Mm-hmm.
asked God to grant me the opportunity to be a full-time entrepreneur with no other distractions, no school, no
Mm,
working part-time for Lockheed Martin. None
mm,
because I did that as well. And everything
yeah.
I did well, but it wasn't, I did it well enough for them to want to keep me, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a position where I wanted to be kept. So I would be in a position
Mm.
for like 11 months. And any job that I've ever done, I've never done it longer than 11 months because I never wanted to mentally
Wow.
say I've been here for a year, right? So I
Yeah,
worked
yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
High Performance Material Institute as a graduate, at a like an apprentice intern, that sort of thing. I worked at Lockheed
Mm-hmm.
Martin as an intern. So I had these positions, and just something was getting to me. Even when I got to where I wanted to become a professor, finish my
Mm-hmm.
PhD, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a professor. I'm gonna, teach students. I'm gonna inspire these brilliant minds. And I was like, somebody's gonna own my ideas. And I didn't like the idea of that, right? So instantly I started to kind of have this realization that I could teach, I could offer a product, I can be a help to humanity without having to be under someone else's umbrella. So
Say that
eventually,
again. Let's not go over this, right?
mhm,
You said you can teach, you can do everything that you wanted to do without
right,
being under somebody else's umbrella. A
right,
lot of us that are in 9 to 5 jobs, sometimes we don't, if you like your job, that's great, but sometimes you hate your job, but you stay there because you're like, oh, I don't know what else to do. You had a different mindset.
mhm,
What caused that? What had you thinking like that? Like you reinvested. A lot of people would take that
right.
money and go party, do something else. You invested in it. You keep building that craft. You keep building that craft. What was that mindset? Is it?
It
Tell
was
us more about that.
I can tell you exactly what that felt like. When you have these great ideas and you want to
Mm-hmm.
tell someone how to improve their process, how to do this better, and you have all this enthusiasm. There were too
Yeah.
many times in life. I can give you a good two examples right now. One, when I was in my program for graduate school, I wanted to do an
Mm-hmm.
inventors competition, $50,000 prize. The professor would get $10,000.
Mm.
And this was I'm at Florida State University. Textile product development is my core, and I had this invention for an interchangeable shoe, and
Mm.
it was brilliant invention. And I was just like, you know what? I just need a professor to back me up on this so that I could submit
Yeah.
my application. I could find not one professor who wanted to do it for me. So that's when
Wow.
I said I wanted to become a professor. I talked to my dad about it. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
This is sad, that this doesn't exist. He was like, well, why don't you be that professor, Shannon? Why don't you be the person that gets your PhD and then you can walk these brilliant minds to a position that is not common in schools anymore? Where did they teach you how to be?
Mm-hmm.
Where, if not graduate school, when did they teach you how to be an inventor? When and where?
Never.
So I
Never.
thought maybe I could be that inspiration. I was uninspired. And then when I got to the level at which I could become a professor, the system just it didn't appeal to me. Even people that did
Mm.
invent things, it was usually for the university. And when I wrote a paper, it was, for, the glory of an
Yeah.
institution. And I felt like that institution did not do for me what I need to do for
Mm.
others.
Damn.
I
Woo.
needed the
Say that
innovation.
again.
It didn't do it. And I was like, well, I want to inspire people to be inventors. And if there's nothing like that that exists in our university system, then I want to be that at least to somebody, just one person. If
Mhm.
I inspire one person to go after their original thought and idea and follow through with it, I don't care if it's a Photoshop, a t-shirt design,
Yeah.
or if it's a literal invention and product development. And then that's where Innate Lab kind of came out of that before. And I'll rewind a little bit again. Before my dad passed away in 2008, we officially started our company, and it was Innate Designs right then. We were working out of his garage, and I remember how proud he was at that moment to be
Wow.
able to call it like an official family business. And we named it Innate because it's something that's within us, right? It's something that we're born
Oh,
with.
I
It's
like
something
that.
that everyone has. Everyone is an
Yeah.
innate
We
creator
all
because that's
creators.
who we are.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
This is
so
amazing.
that was the origin story. And then, my dad got to see it to fruition. But once he passed, I was still
Mm.
in the PhD program, but I couldn't let it go. I could
Yeah.
not let it go. The legacy was so important to me. And it wasn't just like I wanted legacy for this business and to make money. Like I wanted
Mhm.
everyone to have a dad like I had a dad. Like I wanted
Mm.
everybody to feel what that support feels like when you want to do something that seems unbelievable to people, that
Yeah.
seems unattainable to people. Like my dad was that dad was like, no, it's not unattainable. Go get it,
It's
go do it, work
possible.
hard and
That's right.
show off. Right. So I just
I
wanted
love
that
it.
to be the legacy of Innate,
He
Innate Lab and Innate Academy.
so which takes us to the next piece, right? Innate Lab and Innate Academy. Talk to us about that. What does Innate Lab do? What does Innate Academy do? And
Um,
how you
mhm.
impacting people now that that you're living the dream that you created.
Right, right. Well, Innate Lab is essentially the creative space that people can go to create whatever's on your mind. If you can think it, you can
Right.
create it. So essentially,
Mhm.
it's in the form of T-shirts initially that most people get
Mhm.
the ideas like, hey, you get a bright idea, put that on a shirt. It's simple, right? It's a simple medium to express yourself. So that's how it started off. It was online, and we did a brick and mortar. A couple of times we did a
Mhm.
brick and mortar. It was inspired by my niece and nephew, which they're here at the shop now. You might hear a little laughter in the background. They're homeschooled, so we get the opportunity to homeschool because of
Nice.
this business. That too. So it was inspired by them and having to have them at a period of time which was during my PhD. I couldn't work. I was doing
Mhm.
this business, and I had to have a career where I had a 1 and 2 year old on my hip at the time.
Yeah.
So
Flexibility.
I decided to make this the thing. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean I worked less than 40 hours a week because I probably worked 80, but I could have them around me. And I could have the
To
support that
see
I
what you're
needed.
doing. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
That's
So
the
that was
legacy.
that was the legacy too. So it all started to just build on top of one another. And I don't care how difficult things got, the idea that it was worth it always
Mm-hmm.
trumped the difficulty levels. So
Mm.
we did have success. We did, create a community out of it. I had kids in the community that volunteered at the shop. They didn't care about Photoshop and learning how to make T-shirts. However, they were around. I had about 15 kids from 16 to 18 that would just come around the shop
Wow.
and just want a positive place to be. But they ended up learning skills, and not just skills
Yeah.
about graphic design, but skills about their self-confidence, approaching
Mm-hmm.
customers, people asking them questions and them being of service to the community. It was a big deal. So that grew me wanting to actually teach. So eventually I shut down brick and mortar. Family stuff happens,
Mm-hmm.
it's always something that's going on. So family stuff happens, and I was like, well, best for the family to shut down the brick and mortar so I have more time to commit
Mm-hmm.
to the kids. Um, Sparked the academy. I started teaching on YouTube for free.
Mm.
And while I was making, I was making shirts and getting orders
Yeah.
here and there, even online. Even after I shut down brick and mortar, I was still getting orders. Um, but I started turning my attention to helping people learn what the skill that I had. Instantly, like the growth just started happening, and I said, well, you know what, in order for me to teach, I kind of got to give up the
Yeah.
craft, right? So I started giving up the craft to the people in the community that I was teaching. So I would say, hey, you all
Wow.
design, you all, produce the products, and you'll be a part of the network, and my job is to train
Mm-hmm.
you and prepare you to have your own businesses and scale it accordingly. So
Wow.
then
Y-
and that hence the Innate Academy was born.
Yeah. Full circle. You got to think about it, right? You wanted to be a professor because you wanted to teach. You're
Right.
teaching now at your own term.
Hmm.
So
In
that's full
my
circle.
first full year of the academy, I made whatever salary. I think my cap salary would have been somewhere, 80 to 120,000.
Yeah.
I made that my first year opening the academy. It wasn't even a full year, and I didn't even
Congratulations.
know it. I was just teaching and doing it until, I realized it at the end of the year. Oh my God, like this is. I asked God for this. I asked God for 1 year,
Yeah.
and literally within that year, I like created this income.
Yeah.
I willed it into existence, and I was like, you know
Yeah.
what, if I could do
It
this,
went from a thoughts
yeah,
to
that's
being
it.
reality.
Just like
That's
Photoshop,
amazing.
exactly. Whatever's on your
Exactly,
mind, you can
right?
create. So I'm photoshopping my whole life now.
You innating your whole life from in there from
That's
within.
it. That's it.
Ah, I
You
love
got
it.
it.
So I got a couple questions for you.
Hmm.
One, you mentioned that you use YouTube as your marketing channel.
Hmm.
Why did you decide YouTube? Where does that idea came from? And tell us how you're using it now as a marketing tool.
So YouTube was an avenue for me to just reach the masses. I started out
Okay.
in Facebook groups, just seeing
Mm-hmm.
people struggle with things, and in the Facebook groups, I would, help people out. Like, hey, you could do this. Did you know you could do this with
Mm-hmm.
Photoshop? And everyone was so afraid of Photoshop in these communities where all they're doing is making shirts and designs, but Photoshop was the least of the program that was being used. And I was like, well, this is the professional tool. So if this is the pro tool and I can get people to learn this
Yeah.
pro tool, they can master anything if they can master Photoshop, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
started showing people what I would do on YouTube for free just to demonstrate what they could do. And then it became something very, very novel came out of this experience. Usually as an artist, it is taboo to sell or give away your Photoshop files, right? Like you give somebody a flat file version of it, you give them a flat PDF, a flat
Yeah.
JPEG, you could do that. But as soon as somebody asks for your Photoshop file, it's like it's
Nah,
an
you want to
ultimatum,
keep that
right?
IP. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I started doing was I started seeing people were intimidated to design from scratch. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
well, I spent 4 hours designing. People watched me for 4 hours. Design a
Wow.
design on YouTube, right? I said, are y'all just watching me or are y'all doing it? It was like, man, Shannon, we just watching you. We love to just watch you. And I said, well, I need you to be putting this to practice. So what can I do to help you put this in practice? So I said, I tell y'all what, I'll sell this as a template. All you have to do, the same design that I just did, change out the photo, change the text, and I'll show you how to change the color. Hence,
Wow.
the 10-minute template was invented.
Wow. I
And
love
that
how you built a product with the customer in mind and the
exactly.
customer's input, and you leverage YouTube Live to do it because you've
Exactly.
seen them paying so much attention to what you do. That's genius. If
Right.
any of you that are small business owner trying to figure a way to market your business, she just gave you away. You know,
Absolutely.
leverage YouTube. You're gonna get the traffic because it touched the masses, and then use that to build a product that people want, and then you turn it into sales. Oh, that's
Absolutely.
genius.
And also, my thing is in the tagline that my dad came up with that I thought was silly at the time. I was like, Daddy, that's silly. It was innate imagination with innovative ideas. That was his tagline, right? And I was like, man, that's kind of corny. Now it all makes perfect sense because anything we do with innovation in mind. So our whole idea is that we want to solve the world's problems, but just solve it in your world. My world
Yeah,
is graphic design, marketing, promotion, product development, right? So I'm going to solve the world's problem in innovation in my space. And if we all just focused on the problems in our space instead of the problems in the world, all the problems will be solved, right?
yeah, because we solve what we can potentially solve.
Exactly. And we're all in our
Oh,
domain. Like when you're in your domain, there's no reason why you
yeah,
shouldn't be able to come up with solutions every day. Because every day you hear someone complain. Every complaint is an
it's
opportunity to make
mm,
money and to make a solution. So I just
mm,
listened to people's complaints. I was like, okay, I don't like hearing complaints without a solution. So anytime someone would have a complaint and no solution, I was like, oh, this is what my daddy was talking about. He said, you make somebody else's wish your will, right? So they wish it, you will it, you become the genie,
yes,
then
you the
you become the
genie.
person that can earn, right?
You the genie. I love
That's
it.
it. Yeah.
So, oh my God, this is so much good gem. All right, so to wrap things up, right? What
Mhm.
is one tip that you would share with anyone that are a small business owner or even thinking about starting their business or current entrepreneurs and want to go to a new level? What is that one small biz tips you would share with them?
Get you a mentor.
Talk about it.
I and I'm experiencing another level of mentorship right now. What I didn't realize
Mm-hmm.
is that I had a mentor in the form of my father. At a very young
Mm,
age, he was completely unconventional in terms of how a parent would
thought
think.
process,
He
yeah.
would not let me go get a job at McDonald's. He said, "Nope, if you want to do graphic design, then you go work for a graphic designer for free for a year in high school.
Mm,
You will not waste your time or your energy." Every science fair project I did had to be something innovative. I did a solar
mm,
powered city. I did a shoe invention that was interchangeable with all the different
wow.
parts. It was everything had to be done with excellence. That was my first mentor in life. That was my greatest mentor in life. So fast forward from 2010 when my dad passed away until now, I didn't have a mentor.
Mm,
I did not have a mentor that could take me in the direction that my mind was already primed and ready to go. So
mhm.
2022, I invest in mentorship, and
Nice.
my mind is once again meeting challenges, and that's my thing. My only fear in life is mediocrity. That is the only thing that I fear is mediocrity. So when
Sheesh.
I'm being challenged, that's my zone, that's my lane, right? And
Yes.
now I'm being challenged again, and that challenge is causing growth, and I needed a coach to be
Nice.
able to put me in that mindset
Guide
again.
you.
Yes,
I love
exactly,
it. I love
exactly.
it. This is fantastic. So, how do people get into the Innate Academy? How do people get into Innate Lab? Do you have any project, anything that you have that's running right now that people can take advantage of? Can you share that with them?
Absolutely. Innate Academy, and you can go to Innate Academy, INNATE,
Mm-hmm.
academy.com, and you can enroll in. We have a monthly subscription where every single week for the first year, you unlock two classes, and those classes are templates plus classes. So literally, you learn Photoshop by having these pre-made templates that you get to edit. And these are 10 and 5 minute templates. So you literally are learning Photoshop. It might take you an hour or so to do a class one time. After you've done it
Yeah,
once, it only takes you 5-10 minutes to edit that template in the future. And it just gives you confidence. And what I tell people is once you have confidence, you can conquer anything.
that's
And
it.
that's it. So that's the
That's
Innate
it.
Academy. Innate Lab is where we sell our own brand of inks and supplies,
Mm-hmm.
and anything that you need to actually produce the thing. So not only do I teach you how to design, but I put you in the mindset of production and growing and
Mm-hmm.
scaling your physical product business as well. And then my
Nice.
newest addition is actually helping people who do not have a physical product, like speakers
Okay.
like yourself and
Yes.
people who are in the digital space You should have a
Hmm.
digital product because people love you. They want to invest in you. And part of
That's
them
right.
investing in you is to have a product with your name and your brand attached to it.
I love it. I love it. We'll put your offer link in the show notes so everybody can take advantage of it. Guys, check
Thank
out
you.
Shannon. She's amazing. As you can see how her mind think, an engineer and a creative. That's both sides of the brain.
Right, right. It's hard
You know?
sometimes, but it's there.
Exactly, right? And she's able to do that. So check her out. Thanks again for jumping on, Shannon. This was amazing. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.